that would put Tesla stock at about 390, close to all-time highs. If rate cuts start to happen, Tesla's able to raise prices, things could get wildly bullish by the end of this year. I don't think that's something that anyone is expecting right now. The stock ARM that just went up 50, 60% after earnings is trading at about 100 times forward multiple. That would put Tesla stock at about 650 by the end of this year. I hope you guys pay very close attention to this video. This video, if I'm correct, will make you a ton of money, or at least give us brighter days ahead for Tesla stock. And the gist of what we'll cover here in this video is I believe Tesla has started the process of going through, I'm going to use air quotes here, the year of efficiency, because that's what Meta did at $88 per share. They said, hey, we're going to cut costs. We're going to do what we have to do to give you profitable growth. And what happened? Meta stock went from $88 per share to almost $500 per share today. Now, I think there's two things that have already started that shows me personally that Tesla is on a new path. But there's some other things like Elon's comp package that I think are very important to understand. I think it's a little more about economics than Elon actually wants to tell you. And I'm actually going to share with you guys a personal memory of mine, a screenshot of my portfolio 3 years ago that has a very interesting news headline attached to it. We don't get news headlines like this anymore at all for Tesla, and it really stopped around the time Elon's comp package ran out. And I do think with the recent calls to get Elon paid to get a new comp package, that is just around the corner. So with that being said, I will go over here in the near term what I think is going to happen with Tesla stock and what I envision by the end of 2024, because these year of efficiency plans, if you will, I don't know what Tesla is going to call it, but year of efficiency sounds good. They can take some time to play out, but have huge rewards for shareholders. And at this point, I think anything that would suggest Tesla is going to focus on profitability would be huge for Tesla stock. Keep in mind, Tesla is trading at some of the lowest valuations that Tesla has ever traded at. So we got a lot to get into, a lot to discuss. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If some of this does not make sense, watch this video twice, 3 times to get the full understanding of everything that's being said, because I do believe right now there's a lot of people that are negative in Tesla for good reason. Tesla was the worst performing stock in the S&P 500. How do you have Russia's president Vladimir Putin saying Tesla and Elon are unstoppable, but Tesla is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 in 2024? Those things, I see how people are bearish, but I think that bearishness is stretched at this point. Let's just call it that. So let's get started with the first thing I want to acknowledge. I think it's a little bit more about economics than Elon would like to think. Elon Musk just said on the last earnings call why he wants 25% voting power. And I think that makes sense to us. You don't want to be halfway through this great AI project, call it FSD for that matter, and then you get a group of shareholders that want to shut you down. Now, obviously, FSD is not going to get shut down. That's not what I'm saying. But if it was the next big project for Tesla, AI related, Elon wants to have a majority of the voting power, at least in a minority sense. If he has 25% of the voting power, all he needs is 26% of other shareholders to agree with him, and he can do what he wants to do, which would not be hard to accomplish. So all of that makes sense, I think, to everyone watching this video, right? It just makes logical sense. But Elon also made the comment that it's not about economics, and I think that's not quite accurate. So this is the trading community. Now, I shared this. This is personally from my memories 3 years ago. I said, this was a memory from 3 years ago. Everyone, you see this headline on Tesla. Why can't we get good headlines like that anymore? And it just has me thinking that it may be a little bit more about economics than Elon will actually say. And this Oh, it doesn't blow up good. But essentially the headline right here might be kind of hard for some people to see this. I'll blow it up. It's from Benzinga 3 years ago, yesterday. 3 years ago. It says Tesla's China-made $25,000 vehicle to be sold globally. Huh. These days, we can't even get a word about the $25,000 vehicle. But 3 years ago, Tesla was pumping it. 3 years ago was 2021, when Elon still had a comp package. So this really got me thinking, why do we just get bad news now? Like, we very rarely get any good news. Elon does not go on Twitter. He does not say anything that's positive for Tesla stock. And you could make some nuanced arguments that if Tesla stock was at all-time highs, it would be harder for Elon to get a good comp package, all of that. Maybe it's not about economics. Maybe it's just Tesla, they're not doing what they used to do. Who knows? But to me, it does seem like this is a little bit more about economics at this point, unfortunately. Which that makes sense. Let's not bag on Elon for that. You should get paid for any job you do in a capitalistic world. It does not matter if you're the poorest or the richest person in the world. You should be paid in proportion to the value that you provide to society. Being the CEO of Tesla, revolutionizing EVs, battery energy storage products, FSD, the potential there, you should be, I would argue, compensated as the world's richest person in the world. That is, or at least pretty close to that, right? You should have a very high salary or very high potential tiers to reach in your comp package. If you had no comp package, would you really want the stock to do very well? Sure, it makes you look good. But other than that, I mean, it's not helping you personally. So let's not bag on Elon here. This makes a lot of humanoid sense. Any human out there would think and act as if Elon is now. Now, I shared this on the channel recently as well. This Tom Lee shared this from Dan Ives. He says he agrees with Dan Ives. Dan Ives says, the time has come for Tesla's board to step up and resolve this situation by giving Elon Musk a new comp package and make sure he is at Tesla as CEO with AI/FSD front and center through 2030. We remain firmly bullish as discussed here in this clip, and we played the clip. He basically said there should be a comp package that supersedes the last one, that gives Elon more incentive to get Tesla's stock to go higher. So I believe now that you have Dan Ives and other analysts that cover Tesla, widely respected analysts, like Dan Ives is one of the best analysts in the world. He's top 100 analyst in the world out of over 36,000 analysts out there. He's top tier. And if he's calling on Tesla's board to get something done now, well, I think inevitably something is going to get done. Now, we just seen as well, I shared this information in the last video, Neuralink has now changed its state of incorporation to Nevada from Delaware. I'm sure Tesla is also in that process also. Now, I believe there needs to be a vote that takes place, and that's all fine and that's all dandy. I'm sure here in the next couple of weeks, that state of incorporation will change, and then Tesla can go about doing a new comp package for Elon. So I think this is just a couple of days or weeks away. I don't think it's months or years away. I think that's pretty obvious. So this could actually change pretty soon. And I think we get a whole new side of Elon once this actually does happen. I mean, just think about the disaster earnings calls we have heard over the past couple of earnings now that Elon does not have a comp package. Elon used to be a force to be reckoned with on the earnings call. He used to say recklessly bullish things on Tesla. We can't even get him to say one bullish thing on Tesla now. Like, literally, there has been a stark change that if you've been an investor in Tesla for a while, if you've listened to the earnings calls, it's a totally different Elon. Maybe it is more about economics than we previously thought. Again, you can't blame him for that, but that could just be what's going on. Now, this news came out today, and this is one of two things that really shows me that Tesla may just start focusing more on profitability. And we'll go over why that's important and where I think it will take Tesla stock and all of that. But Tesla announced a temporary Model Y price cut in the US. Now, it's pretty logical. You can make the argument that inventories right now are pretty high for the Model Y that we have right now, that Tesla's probably doing this temporary price cut because they plan on introducing a new refreshed Model Y here in the not so distant future. They're not going to tell us that up front, but I think that's why they put it as temporary, because the new Model Y is going to go back to being $1,000 more. But I think this temporary wordage really shows markets. It shows me that Tesla's not going to sacrifice margins anymore, or at least not for a price cut. And it also shows me that they're being a little bit more careful with their words. Words are important. If Tesla just cut prices in the Model Y by $1,000, it's the same old just crap. No matter if they plan to raise prices in the future, it would negatively affect Tesla stock today. And then Tesla stock raising prices $1,000 when the new Model Y comes out, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if Tesla says a temporary price cut on the Model Y, who even bats an eye at that? That shouldn't be a problem at all. What, is it going to be 50,000 vehicles that have $1,000 price cut? I mean, let's just do a simple math on that. 50,000 I think would be way on the high end. That'd be $50 million of a hit to Tesla's essentially margins. If Tesla's at about 8% profitability, that'd be about a $4 million hit to bottom line profits. Divide them by 3.3 billion shares outstanding. It is nominal, okay? Nominal at best. It's 0.001%. It's a 0.1% hit to potential EPS. It's nothing. It's like literally nothing, okay? Very, very minimal. So I think, again, just the way that this is put out is very shareholder friendly, without spilling the beans, without crushing demand today for the Model Y that we have on the roads today, without saying we're going to launch a new Model Y here in 2 months and crush demand for 2 months. They're going about this the right way. And I think this is a change for Tesla. Tesla has never done a temporary price cut. It's always been just cut. We'll just cut prices. Doesn't even matter. Even with the refresh Model 3, Tesla was cutting prices on the original Model 3, and then they raised prices for the new Model 3 in China by about 12%. We had no heads up that was going to happen. Hardly moved Tesla stock because it was so beaten down by the price cuts already. Hopefully that makes some sense. Re-listen to that if you need to, because I know it sounds more complicated than it is when you're going over psychology of markets, but it's very important in terms of what happens with Tesla stock. Now, Sawyer Merritt makes an interesting point. He says it's possible Tesla announced price changes today instead of next Thursday to take advantage of any potential Super Bowl related website traffic tomorrow and into Monday. Tesla has in the past seen an increase in web traffic due to legacy automakers spending $7 million per Super Bowl ad for their EVs. This will also be the first post Super Bowl time that Tesla has Google Ads turned on. Now, there's a lot of speculation whether Tesla may run a Super Bowl ad for $7 million. Bro, come on, run a Super Bowl ad. I think that's specifically the demographic that needs to hear about Teslas as well. A lot of people that watch TV, a lot of people that are going to watch the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. Those are probably the guys and gals that know very little about Tesla. In fact, basically everyone I know is going to watch the Super Bowl. And I don't know a single person personally, besides me, that owns a Tesla. Not one. Literally not a single person I know that I can call up and say, hey, how's your Tesla treating you? Can't do it. I don't know anyone. Nobody owns Teslas. So I'm in Michigan, though. Keep in mind, it's GM and Ford in this area, and Ram like Stellantis. So Tesla's not popular at all. So maybe it's a Michigan thing, but still, let me know what you think. Is Tesla going to run a Super Bowl ad or not? Now, this article says Elon Musk reportedly quizzed Tesla managers on which staff could be fired. The last time he did that, it did not end well for Twitter employees. Now, what's actually interesting about this is initially firing people tends to have some negative near-term consequences with severance packages and things of that nature. But Wall Street loves the layoffs. It loves the direction of the company. It's more about the direction of where a company is going, as long as you're already profitable, you're already putting up positive EPS, than the very near term, right? If Tesla announced they're going to lay off 10% of their staff, but it's going to cost $2 billion next quarter, fine. Don't even care, because Wall Street's already pricing out 12 months. So Wall Street's going to say, in 12 months, you're laying off 10% of your staff, you're going to be bringing in some dollar hollers off of that. And if it doesn't affect production or anything else, which presumably it would not, the markets would love that. And this is another sign that Tesla is potentially about to turn around. Now, does this happen before a comp package with Elon? Probably not. But a comp package could come pretty quickly. I think it would be a pretty just open and closed door. I mean, Elon would get paid. He would stay at Tesla. I mean, it's probably not going to take long for a comp package. I don't know. Again, if this news is going to come out sooner rather than later. This was more so a leak than anything else. We weren't supposed to know that Tesla was looking at laying people off. And this is like the number one thing you can do to show you are focusing on profitability. And I don't want to be insensitive or, come off in those terms. But basically all of your big companies have laid people off besides really Apple. Apple's done select layoffs, couple hundred employees here, couple hundred there. Google's laid off like 15% of their staff in 2 years, right? Most companies that are that realize what the markets want have done this, and it's served their stocks very well. So this could just be a shift in Tesla. That's more or less what I'm trying to convey right now. You're starting to see the shift in Tesla. The quicker that you can realize that, potentially the more money you can make. Because keep in mind, you make money on the buy, not the sell. So you want to buy Tesla stock at a good price. Doesn't matter when you sell. You're going to make the money on the buy. If you buy too high and the stock never gets back to all-time highs, it doesn't matter. You're never going to make money. If you buy a stock at the lows when everyone is counting the stock out, then you're probably going to make some money, unless it's a bad company overall, and Tesla is far from that. Now, in the near term, I've talked about this a couple times, and I will mention it as well, because I think in the near term, really, Tesla stock could get a big benefit from NVIDIA. Now, I also think Tesla, let's keep in mind here, let's establish one thing, and let's be honest with ourselves. The business of Tesla has not changed at all since the start of 2024. Nothing's changed. There's a little bit more uncertainty, sure. Have the numbers changed? Has anything got really worse? No, okay. That is partly why psychological aspects of the markets are so important, and with specific stocks, that's why this shift in Tesla's business could be really good, even if it takes a little while to see some improvements there. The psychological shift of, oh my gosh, Tesla's going to focus on profitability. Estimates are going to go higher. What two things drive stocks higher? Beating on earnings and estimates going higher. That's it. That's all you need to send a stock higher. Okay, and I'm sure some of you guys knew that. I'm sure some of you guys just, I just blew your mind with that. Those are the two things that send a stock higher. Again, beating on earnings and estimates going higher, because that means, hey, if people are estimating $4.50 of EPS for Tesla in 2025, cool. Then Tesla's trading at whatever, let's call it a 30 times PE. If estimates go higher and now markets are expecting $6 of EPS in 2025, then you're trading at like a 20 times PE. Then people feel more comfortable buying Tesla stock. That's the simplest way to put it. Now, in the near term, or really what we've seen recently, I do think part of why Tesla has been falling is the uncertainty, but also NVIDIA. I've pointed this out before many times here on the channel now, and I just want to make it very clear as well. NVIDIA has went up $600 billion in market cap. There's actually been negative almost $40 billion worth of inflows to the markets, so money has actually left the markets here in 2024, but stocks have been going higher. NVIDIA has been on a face ripper rally. It's gained $600 billion in market cap. When you think about stocks and how much they've fallen, Tesla is the standout, losing $200 billion in the last 6 weeks when NVIDIA has gained $600 billion. Yeah, that's a problem. A lot of money has went from Tesla into NVIDIA, a good chunk. I mean, if Tesla's lost $200 billion, I would say conservatively around $100 billion has probably went directly into NVIDIA. That's why on February 6th, we got the first glimpse of this, where Nvidia sold off 1.6%, at one point was down 4%, and Tesla had its first really good day. And Tesla was actually down a lot in the beginning of the day. Tesla actually hit a low of $177, closed at $185 per share. Tesla was up 2.23%. This is the change that started. Tesla has been green now 4 days in a row. And after Nvidia's earnings, the last 3 earnings now, which Nvidia has shocked the world basically 3 times over and over again, Nvidia sold off 10% following its first earnings within the course of like a week. Back here, Nvidia sold off. Well, Nvidia kind of sold off the 10% gain. And ended up falling like 4 or 5%, rallied another 4 or 5% or so, and then ended up selling like, ended up selling off about 16.5% over the next month. What happened last earnings? Nvidia actually fell 2.5% the next day. And I remember telling people in the trading community, like, hey, Nvidia was priced as if, it could do no wrong. It was going to sell off almost certainly after earnings, regardless of how good the earnings were. Nvidia fell 11% in the course of about 2 weeks. Now, oh my gosh, Nvidia is going to have to come out with something crazy to go higher after earnings. So you're 3 for 3 here on Nvidia falling after earnings. Probably going to be 4 for 4. Whether Nvidia falls 20% after earnings, 10%, doesn't matter. I think that will pull more money into the lower sectors of our markets. The Teslas, the small, the mid-cap stocks. And I pointed this out in the last video as well. IWM on February 6th, it was falling, right, into Feb 6. On Feb 6th, IWM was up 1%. The next day, it was actually down about 0.2%. Then what happened? IWM rallied 1.5%. On Friday, it rallied 1.6%. Maybe investors know what I'm saying. Maybe investors already know that Nvidia is going to sell off after earnings, and the money is going to redisperse back into the lower sectors of our markets. You will likely see a broadening out, and Tesla stock will probably perform pretty well in the near term. Probably up to about 210, if not 220. That's my personal assessment. Could it go higher? Sure. Now, Heisenberg actually made this post. Now, he's very popular on X in the trading community, about 115,000 subscribers or whatnot. I shared it and said, that's actually what I'm doing right now. And he says, the most contrarian pair trade there is, and one that I think makes sense, is this: short Nvidia, long Tesla. And basically it goes on to say some of the same things that I've been saying, is they're kind of inversing each other at this point. I think he could have went more in depth, like Nvidia tends to sell off after earnings. There's other points here, but this is the exact trade that I'm doing. And I think a lot of people are starting to kind of realize this as well. I think the markets have already started to realize this, though. With the last 4 green days in Tesla, Nvidia did hit a new all-time high on Friday. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher in terms of this whole trade. But it's probably that last blow off top kind of move before Nvidia earnings. Now, I believe Nvidia will probably be range bound into earnings. I believe Tesla stock could even rally into Nvidia earnings and then rally even further after Nvidia earnings. But again, that is more in the near term. Okay, now when we're looking at where Tesla stock could go here over the next, couple of months by the end of 2024, I'm going to look at full year 2025 EPS estimates, because that's what people look at, is not this 12 months, but the following 12 months. That's why Nvidia investors say Nvidia is kind of cheap. It's trading at 35 times 2025 earnings. That's not too bad. So we're going to do the same thing and look at Tesla, because that's how people are going to value Tesla in the grand scope of things. So right now, the current estimate for 2025 EPS is $4.43. 3 months ago, it was $5.52. So if we want to find what Tesla is trading at as far as 2025 earnings, we're going to take Tesla's share price. We're going to use 193 and divide this by 4.43. So Tesla's currently trading with a PE, a forward PE of about 43. So that's important. We're going to go ahead and keep that on its own calendar, because that's telling you the PE right now. So without multiple expansion, without a higher PE, that could be where Tesla, could trade with a higher PE. Now, let's say again, Tesla focuses on profitability and they change the narrative around Tesla. Elon, they start to do the right things, whatever. That's going to affect your PE or multiple expansion. And we'll look at that here in just a second. But let's say estimates over the next 6 months go to $6.50 for Tesla's 2025 EPS. That would be about $1 higher than 3 months ago. But even 3 months ago, Wall Street was not expecting Tesla is going to start focusing on profitability. So I think these are pretty conservative numbers. And these are looking at estimates hitting 650, right? Which I do think can pretty reasonably happen. If Tesla is currently trading at a 43.5 times multiple, that would put Tesla stock at about 282, almost 283. Now, if Tesla's multiple could expand to 60, where it recently was, I mean, Tesla's multiple was recently at 60. That would put Tesla stock at about 390, close to all-time highs. If rate cuts start to happen, Tesla's able to raise prices, things could get wildly bullish by the end of this year. I don't think that's something that anyone is expecting right now. And that's why I feel like this video could make a lot of people a ton of money. If I'm correct, obviously I might be wrong. Tesla may focus on production instead of profitability. Who knows? And I do also want to make the point that Tesla not giving guidance was kind of step one in potentially changing the narrative around Tesla, focusing on profitability, because you don't want a milestone attached to you, a formal guidance attached to you when you're focusing on profitability over production. That's just not the ideal situation you want to be in. So let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section. If you wanted to get, really crazy with it, you could say $6.50 of EPS. I mean, Tesla's traded at multiples of 1,200, 300, 200. I think 100 would be on the high side at this point, but it's not unachievable. I mean, the stock ARM that just went up 50, 60% after earnings is trading at about 100 times forward multiple. That would put Tesla stock at about 650 by the end of this year. Yeah, it could get crazy. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you guys want to come join the trading community. Come join it. Check out that link down below in the description of this video. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.